Hello, good evening. So let's start the session. Last class, we were discussing the problems from the variable and absorption costing systems, and we went through at least about 30 to 35 problems, and we will be discussing the remaining problems from today. So once again, a recap of what we have discussed earlier: variable and absorption costing. That's the two inventory costing methods. And in the main difference between the variable costing and absorption costing is in the treatment of the fixed manufacturing overhead. In variable costing, this fixed manufacturing overhead is treated as period cost and they are expensed as they are incurred in the income statement. And in absorption costing, this fixed manufacturing overhead is treated as a product cost and it is charged to the production. So the main difference between this variable cost and absorption costing is in the treatment of the fixed manufacturing overhead. And there is a difference in the inventory values reported under variable costing and absorption costing. In absorption costing, since fixed manufacturing overhead forms part of the product cost, the inventory value reported under the ending inventory value reported under absorption costing will be of higher value than that of variable costing. And the application of variable costing and absorption costing. Variable costing is applied for internal decision-making purposes only. It is not in conformance with the US GAAP or Internal Revenue Service for tax reporting purposes, but absorption costing conforms with US GAAP as well as tax reporting as per the US Internal Revenue Service. So these are the key difference between variable costing and absorption costing. So let's begin with the problems. So can we move forward? Is the audio clear? So we will be continuing with the remaining problems from the session. Question number 49. Let's read the final one-line question. The difference between the $49.95 selling price of Hitchcock's Power Saw and its total unit cost of $44 represents the unit. So what is the difference between the selling price and the total unit cost? So it's very clear from this question itself. We just did not look into the various other details, but still we can read out the question. Hitchcock Industries has developed 2 new products but has only enough plant capacity to introduce one of these products this year. The company controller has gathered the following data to assist management in deciding which product should be selected for production. Hitchcock's fixed overhead includes proportional rent and utilities, machinery depreciation, and supervisory salaries. Selling and administrative expenses are not allocated to products because selling and administrative expenses are non-manufacturing overhead, so they will not be allocated to products. And cost per unit data for the power kill and power source given to us. So raw materials, machining, assembly, variable overhead, fixed overhead, their allocations are provided to us, and the total unit cost of each product is given to us. And suggested selling price, actual research and development cost, proposed advertising and promotion cost. So the difference between the $49.95 is the suggested selling price of Power Saw, and its total unit cost. What is the total unit cost is 44. So what is this difference between the selling price and the total unit cost referred to us? Can you give me the answer? Is it gross profit margin ratio, gross profit, contribution margin ratio, or contribution margin? Option D, contribution margin. What is contribution margin? Contribution margin is the difference between the selling price and the variable cost. So this variable cost includes both manufacturing cost as well as non-manufacturing cost. So let's look at the components of this total unit cost. Raw materials, machining, assembly, variable overhead, fixed overhead. Fixed overhead are also included. So does variable cost includes fixed overhead? No, because fixed overhead is a fixed cost. It is not included in the either variable manufacturing cost or a variable non-manufacturing cost. So this total units cost represents direct material, direct labor is included, as well as the manufacturing overhead is also included. So what is this total unit cost called? It is called Cost of goods sold. So what is the difference between the selling price and cost of goods sold referred to as? Is it contribution margin? So what will be the answer? Option D is the wrong answer. It is not contribution margin. Okay, gross margin, right. Option B. Option B, gross margin or gross profit is the right answer. Gross profit margin ratio, it is not ratio. The difference between the selling price and total unit cost is gross margin. What is gross profit margin ratio? Gross profit margin divided by sales represents gross profit margin ratio. So the answer is gross profit. Contribution margin, because this total cost includes fixed overhead. So it not only includes the variable cost, it also includes the fixed cost. But this total unit cost represents the cost of goods sold. So it cannot be contribution margin. So are you clear with the explanation? Okay, let's move forward. So, so question is a bit different question. Sorry, big question. Valiant Corporation, let's read the final one-line question. Valiant Corporation's total fixed cost expensed this year on absorption costing basis. We need to calculate the total fixed cost which will be expensed this year on the absorption costing basis. So fixed non-manufacturing overhead, it will be expensed as they are incurred, it will be a period cost. Since absorption costing is used, fixed non-manufacturing overhead will be treated as a product cost and will only be expensed based on the number of units sold this year. Only the fixed manufacturing overhead applicable to those units sold in this particular period will be expensed in this year based on absorption costing. So there is no need for any confusion relating to the treatment of the fixed non-manufacturing overhead. We need only to look at the total fixed non-manufacturing overhead to be expensed this year on absorption costing basis. So let's read the question. Okay, Valiant Corporation employs an absorption costing system for internal reporting purposes. However, the company is considering using variable costing. Data regarding Valiant's plant and actual operations for the calendar year are presented below, and we are provided with the finished goods inventory data, sales and production, plant level and actual level is provided to us, and the various cost data, which is plant cost and actual cost, both details are provided to us. Direct materials, direct labor, variable manufacturing overhead, fixed manufacturing overhead, variable selling expenses, fixed selling expenses, variable administrative expenses, fixed administrative expenses, both are provided to us. So the plant per unit cost figures shown in the above schedule were based on Valiant production and selling of 140,000 units. So 140,000 was the plant level. On this basis, we computed the per unit cost. Valiant uses a predetermined manufacturing overhead rate for applying manufacturing overhead to its product. Thus, a combined manufacturing overhead rate of 9 per unit was employed for absorption costing purposes. So, any under or over applied manufacturing overhead is closed to cost of goods sold account at the end of the reporting year. The beginning finished goods inventory for absorption costing purposes was valued at the previous year's planned unit manufacturing cost, which was the same as the current year's planned unit manufacturing cost. There are no work in process inventories at either the beginning or the end of the year. The planned and actual unit selling price for the current year was $70 per unit. Valiant Corporation's total fixed cost expenses here on the absorption costing basis. So let's check the cost data. So what comprises of the total fixed cost? Fixed non-manufacturing cost as well as fixed manufacturing cost. So what are the fixed non-manufacturing cost? Fixed administrative cost and fixed selling price are the fixed non-manufacturing cost. We are provided with the planned cost total or actual cost total. If you are taking fixed cost, it will be better that we take the total fixed cost, not the per unit cost. So total fixed administrative expenses planned was 420,000 and actually incurred 425,000. Fixed selling expenses 980,000 was the planned, 980,000 became the actual. So the total fixed non-manufacturing overhead fixed non manufacturing overhead equals fixed selling plus fixed administrative expense. Right. So what is fixed administrative and fixed selling expenses? We are provided with the actual, which is 980,000 plus fixed administrative expenses comprised of 425,000. I'm ready to take fixed manufacturing cost. Fixed manufacturing cost here we provide was fixed manufacturing overhead. So a planned cost was 700,000 and per unit cost was given to us as 5 and our actual cost incurred was 715,000. So this fixed manufacturing overhead will be applied to a production based on the standard rate. Here we are provided with a standard rate of 5 and how much of the unit will be sold in this particular year. Actual sales is 125,000. So 5 into 125,000 equals 5 into 125,000 equals 625,000. Right. So what will be the total fixed non-manufacturing overhead that is to be applied to production? Just add all the fixed cost together, which will be okay, yes. Option C, yes. Okay, just a minute. Yes, the total fixed manufacturing overhead that is to be applied equals 980,000 plus 425,000 plus 625,000, which is equal to 2,030,000. Sorry, 30,000. So one more information is also provided in the question, like just read out this information. Any over or underapplied manufacturing overhead is close to the cost of goods sold at the end of the reporting year. So, if there is any under or overapplied manufacturing overhead, that is to be added, either added or deducted to the cost of goods sold, whether it is by looking at whether it is underapplied or overapplied. So, we know that the fixed manufacturing overhead that we expense to this particular period is 5 into 125,000, which is 625,000. Right. So what is the actual incurred fixed manufacturing overhead? It is 715,000. So okay, 700,000 is the planned cost, and what we are actually applied to production was 625,000. So let's check what will be the manufacturing overhead to be applied to production. So our planned production level was 130,000, right? So this 130,000 into 5 is going to be the manufacturing overhead, that is 650,000. So we need to compute the difference between the overhead applied and the actually incurred overhead. So the actually incurred overhead was 5 into 130,000 of the production level, which is going to be 650,000. And what we applied to production or actually incurred was, what is the underapplied or overapplied? It is the difference between the manufacturing overhead, which is as per the planned, budgeted, and which is actually incurred. So actual overhead or fixed manufacturing overhead was 715,000. So the difference, the overhead was applied by less. The actual incurred overhead is 750,000, but what we applied to production is just only 650,000. So 750,000 minus 650,000 is going to be the underapplied overhead, which is 65,000. Since this overhead is underapplied to production, we need to add this underapplied overhead to cost of goods sold at the end of the period. So what is the total fixed cost expensed? 2,030,000. We need to add this 65,000, not 650,000. It's 65,000. We need to add the 65,000 along with the 2,030,000 in order to find the actual cost that was expensed during this period, which is 2,095,000. Let me check. Plus 65,000 is going to be 2,095,000. So the actual total expenses which will be incurred this particular period will equals the fixed manufacturing overhead and the fixed non-manufacturing overhead along with the underapplied or overapplied overhead if there is any. So option B is going to be the answer. So are you clear with the explanation? If it is overapplied, we should deduct the difference. We should always take the data under actual activity instead of planned. If it is overapplied, okay, let's check. If it is overapplied, we need to deduct that overapplied overhead from the cost of goods sold in order to arrive at the actual one. We should deduct the difference. Okay, yes, we should deduct the difference. We should always take the data under actual activity instead of plan. For the fixed non-manufacturing overhead, it will be better you take the it is advisable to take the actual data because this fixed manufacturing overhead will be applied to production. So we could not arrive at the what will be the actual overhead applied during the when production takes place. So we could only know what is the actual fixed manufacturing overhead at the end of the period. So it will not be practical to wait until the end of the period in order to check what will be the actual fixed overhead and apply to production. So for that reason, we will be using a predetermined overhead rate to apply to the production. That predetermined overhead is given in our question as 5. Look, this unit variable cost is provided to us based on this planned activity level of 140,000 units. So we are given with a predetermined overhead rate of 5. So in this 5, the only thing what we sold is 125,000. So 5 into 130,000 is the fixed manufacturing overhead that is to be applied to production. Yes, but 125,000 into 5 will only be expensed in this particular period because 125,000 will only be sold in this particular period. Remaining 5,000 of this cost will remain as the ending inventory cost. So the underapplied or overapplied is is calculated based on the actual level and the planned level. So planned level of fixed manufacturing overhead is becomes 5 into 130,000 of production, which is 650,000, and our actual fixed manufacturing overhead is 750,000. So there becomes a under application or over application, right? So here is under application because our actual was 750,000, but we only applied 5 into 130,000, 650,000 to the production. So this is under applied by 65,000. So that 65,000, since it is under applied, needs to be added to cost of goods sold in order to arrive at the total expense to be expensed. So that is clearly provided in this sentence. Look, any hour or applied manufacturing overhead is closed to the cost of goods sold account at the end of the reporting year. Since it is the underapplied or overapplied application relating to the fixed manufacturing overhead, that will be part of the total fixed cost to be expensed in this year. Is it clear? If it was a period cost or under variable costing. Okay, if it was a period cost, we could wait till we could take the actual figure. 750,000 will be the fixed manufacturing overhead, 980,000 and 250,000. So there will be no underapplied or overapplied manufacturing overhead needs to be charged to cost of goods sold because they are not treated as a product cost. Since it is period cost, we could expense as they are incurred. So for that reason, we need not charge any cost, such cost of production. So there is no need for application of this fixed manufacturing overhead. So we could just take the actually incurred fixed manufacturing overhead, 750,000, fixed selling 980,000, fixed administrative cost 425,000 to arrive at the total fixed cost to be expensed in this particular period. So you should give special attention to certain points like this. If there is, especially in case of absorption costing, you need to check whether this underapplied or overapplied. In most cases, this underapplied or overapplied manufacturing overhead will be charged to cost of goods sold. So if it is immaterial, based on the materiality. If it is immaterial, it will be charged to cost of goods sold. If it is material, it will be prorated among the post finished goods, cost of goods sold and working process inventory. So you need to give special attention to certain details which is provided under. Okay, can I move forward? So 47th question. So during the month of May, Robinson Corporation sold 1,000 units. The cost per unit for May was as follows. So the sales is 1,000 units and the cost data for the month of May is provided to us. Direct materials, direct labor, variable manufacturing overhead, fixed manufacturing overhead, variable administrative cost, fixed administrative cost, total is provided to us. May's income using absorption costing was 9,500. The income for May, if variable costing had been used, would have been 9,125. So the number of units Robinson produced during May was. So just look at the information. The May's income using absorption costing was 9,500 and May's income if variable costing was used would have been 9,125. So there is a difference, 9,500 minus 9,125, which is going to be 375. Right. The difference between variable costing income and absorption costing income is equal to 9,500 minus 9,125. It is going to be 375, right? So the absorption costing income is greater. That means production exceeds sales. So we could also arrive at such information. Production is greater than sales. It is very evident because the absorption costing income is greater than the variable costing income. So this only comes in a situation when the production level is greater than the sales. So we know that the only difference between the variable costing income and absorption costing income is in the treatment of the fixed manufacturing overhead. So this three absorption costing income, the fixed manufacturing overhead applied to production will be lower than what is expensed in variable costing income. So this 375 represents that portion of fixed manufacturing overhead which is not applied to production in the absorption costing system. That means this 375 of this fixed manufacturing overhead is applied to the ending inventory. So ending inventory into the particular fixed manufacturing rate gives this $375. So what is the fixed manufacturing overhead rate? 1.5. And we know that the ending inventory into this fixed manufacturing overhead rate of equal to, that means 1.5 of the ending inventory, fixed manufacturing overhead into ending inventory, let's take it as X, equals 375. So this ending inventory is going to be is equal to 375 divided by 1.5, which is 250. So that ending inventory is 250. So we know that our sales level was 1000. So our production exceeds sales. So what is the production level to be used? You know that the sales was 1000 and there was ending inventory of 250 and there is no information given to us regarding in the presence of any beginning inventory. So we could assume that there is no beginning inventory. So the total production equals 1000 plus 250, which equals 1250 is going to be our production level. So the option that gives this answer is option A, 1250. So once more, this question is a little bit tricky, but it is very easy to compute. So we are given with the cost data and our sales level is provided to us and the income under both absorption costing and variable costing is provided to us, and what we are asked us to find the production level. So let's compare, when comparing the absorption costing income and variable costing income, we could find that absorption costing income is more than the variable costing income by $375. So when does absorption costing income exceeds variable costing income? In a situation where the production level is greater than sales. Okay, so what is the difference between absorption costing income and variable costing income? It is $375. It is due to the treatment of the fixed manufacturing overhead. As the income under absorption costing is greater than variable costing income, it says that the fixed manufacturing overhead expensed in absorption costing will be less than the fixed manufacturing overhead expense in variable costing. So this difference arises because there is ending inventory value. Some of this fixed manufacturing overhead will go to the ending inventory value and will be shown in the balance sheet. So we know that the difference is 375. It is due to the fixed manufacturing overhead, and we are given with the per unit fixed manufacturing overhead to be 1.5. So this 1.5 into this ending inventory value will give the $375. So this ending inventory value is equal to $375 divided by 1.5. We get 250 units to be the ending inventory. And the sales level is 1000. There is no such information given to us regarding the presence of beginning inventory. So we could assume that there is no beginning inventory. So since sales is 1000 units and production exceeds sales, so ending inventory value of 250, let's add 1000 plus 250. 1250 is going to be the production. So among the 1250, 1000 is sold and 1000 remains, 250 remains in the ending inventory. So do you get it? Is it clear? Okay. So question number 46. Using absorption full costing, inventoriable cost are. So under absorption costing, what are the inventoriable cost? Inventoriable cost, also called product cost, equals direct material plus direct labor plus manufacturing overhead, that is variable manufacturing overhead plus fixed manufacturing overhead. So let's check what will be the total cost. So direct material used we are provided with 300. So we need to take the direct material used which is directly provided in this question. Direct material used to be 300,000 plus direct labor 100,000 and variable manufacturing overhead 50,000 plus fixed manufacturing overhead. Here there is information provided to us like whether it is applied, whether it is incurred or such. So let's take this will be the fixed factory overhead applied to production, which is 80,000. So the total unvariable cost is going to be 300,000 plus 100,000, 400,000 plus 50,000, 450,000 plus 80,000, 530,000. So this is going to be the total invariable cost using this absorption costing basis. So we will not take the selling and administrative cost, variable and fixed, because they are non-manufacturing cost. Non-manufacturing cost doesn't form part of the invariable cost. Let it be variable costing or absorption costing. So if it is if variable costing is used, the only cost applicable would be 300,000, 100,000 and 50,000. For 50,000 would have been the invariable cost. Fixed for factory overhead will be expensed in this particular period. Since it is absorption costing, we need to take fixed factory overhead too. So you clear? Okay. So we shall move forward to the next question. Question number 45. Okay, the data is the amount of operating income. Let's read the final question. The amount of operating income earned by Merlin for the last fiscal year using variable costing. So using variable costing, what would be the operating income? That's the question. So Merlin Company uses a standard cost accounting system. Data for the last fiscal year as follows. Beginning inventory, production, sales and ending inventory is provided to us. Product selling price, standard variable manufacturing cost and standard fixed manufacturing cost is provided to us. Budgeted selling and administrative cost, fixed, both are fixed, which is provided to us. And the denominator level of activity is 750 units for the year. So denominator level of activity means the budgeted level of activity is going to be 750 units for the year. There were no price efficiency or spending variances for the year, and actual selling and administrative expenses equal the budgeted amounts. The previous year's variable manufacturing cost per unit were the same as the current year's budgeted and actual variable manufacturing cost per unit. Any volume variance is written off to cost of goods sold in the year incurred. There are no work in process inventories. So the amount of operating income earned by Merlin for the last fiscal year, we are using this variable costing. So let's compute. So sales, how we compute the operating income under variable costing? Sales plus variable cost we get contribution margin plus fixed cost we get operating income. This is the contribution margin income statement format, which is also equal to the variable costing income format. So what is the sales amount? So the sales is 750 units. So 750 into the product selling price is going to be 200. So the total selling price is equal to 150,000. Yes. And let's subtract variable cost. What are the variable costs? Standard variable manufacturing cost is provided to us 90. 90 into the number of units sold is 750. 90 into 750 equals 67,500. And by subtracting sales variable cost from the sales, we get 150,000 minus 675,000, 67,500. We get 82,500. And we need to subtract this fixed cost from this. So fixed cost includes both fixed variable and variable manufacturing, variable non-manufacturing overhead cost. So this budgeted selling and administrative cost is provided to us as 45,000. Along with that, there is fixed manufacturing cost, which is 20 for the number of units sold as 750. Right. So let's check. Our beginning finished good inventory was 100 and production during this year was 700. So the total units available for sale is 700 plus 100, 800. So among this we sold 750 units. So the something ending inventory equals 50. So the fixed overhead to be expensed is equals those that is incurred for the production during this year. So we know that in the year we produced 700 and standard fixed manufacturing cost is going to be 20. So 20 into 700 is going to be the fixed manufacturing overhead that we incurred during this particular period. So 20 into 700 is going to be 14,000, right? So the total fixed cost is 45,000 plus 14,000, 59,000. So what is the operating income? 80,500 minus 59,000 is going to be 20,500. 80,500 minus 59,000. How we get 14,000? Okay, let me just check. 20. Okay, so the sales level is 750,000. So we need to expense this into the production, which is 20 into 750, which is going to be 15,000. So this total fixed cost will become 45,000 plus 15,000, which is 60,000, right? Okay, 14,000 was a mistake. So operating income is going to be 82,500 minus 60,000, 22,500. So option A is the answer. Are you clear? Okay. So 15,000, now we get 15,000. 50,000 becomes 20 into 750, which is 15,000. So total becomes 60,000. So operating income, so contribution margin minus fixed cost, 22,500. So please check the information denominator level of activities and 50 units for the year. So we need to take the fixed manufacturing overhead for this 750 units. Okay, are you clear? Can I move forward? Okay. Let's read the final question. Assuming operating income under variable costing is 1,800, operating income under absorption costing is. Select check. Product sales is 1,000 units at $10 each. Variable manufacturing cost 5.5. Fixed manufacturing over 1,200. Variable selling and administrative cost. Fixed selling and administrative cost no beginning inventory, unit produced, planned and actual is 1200. So what is the main difference? What is the main costing factor between the operating income under absorption costing and variable costing is difference in the inventory levels, like the production unit produced. So production is equal to 1200 and the sales was 1000 units. So production exceeds the sales, production greater than sales by how much? 200 units, right? So since production exceeds sales, the income reported under absorption costing would be high. So under absorption costing, income would be high. Income is high, right? So we know that what is the main causing factor of this increase in the income is in the those 200 units which remain as ending inventory into the fixed manufacturing overhead. What is the fixed manufacturing overhead? Planned and total was 1200 for what? For the actual production level of. So we need to calculate what is the predetermined fixed manufacturing overhead rate. So predetermined fixed manufacturing overhead absorption rate, we need to calculate it. Because the total figure is only provided to us. So we need to calculate this per unit figure. Is equal to what is the plant overhead divided by the plant activity level. So plant overhead which is provided is 1200 divided by the plant activity level is 1200. So this fixed manufacturing overhead rate is equal to 1 per unit. So 200 into 1 equal to 200 is going to be the fixed manufacturing overhead that is not applied to that is not expensed in this income statement for absorption costing, because this 200 of the fixed manufacturing overhead will flow to the ending inventory value in the balance sheet. But whereas in variable costing, this entire amount of fixed manufacturing overhead incurred during this particular period will be expensed. So we know that the variable costing income was 1800 and the fixed manufacturing overhead that is not reported equals 200. So we need to add this 1800 plus 200 of non-reported, which equals 2000. It would be the operating income under absorption costing. So under absorption costing, this operating income would be greater by the value of the fixed manufacturing overhead, which is represented in the ending inventory value, which is 200. Along with this, we need to add the variable costing income. 1800 plus 200 is equal to 1000, is going to be the operating income under absorption costing. So option B gives the answer. Is it clear? Yes. Let's move forward to the next question. So we have discussed this question from the previous details, the same data. So in previous question, the question asked us the total fixed cost, the variable cost expensed currently by variable corporation on the variable costing basis. So total variable cost expense based on variable costing. So under variable costing, the total variable cost includes the variable manufacturing cost as well as the variable non-manufacturing cost. So the data is provided to us. the same information. Variant Corporation, they are employing an absorption costing system for internal reporting purposes. So, however, the company is considering of change of plan of using it to converting it into variable costing, and the planned and actual operations data for the particular calendar year is provided to us. Planned activity and actual activity, so provided to us, and the corresponding cost, plan per unit cost, plan total cost, and actual cost are provided to us. So this plan per unit cost figure shows the above schedule was based on value production and selling 140,000 units, and plan value uses a predetermined manufacturing overhead rate for applying manufacturing overhead to its product. Thus, a combined manufacturing overhead rate of 9 per unit was employed for absorption costing purposes. Any over and applied manufacturing overhead is close to the cost of goods sold account at the end of the reporting year, and the beginning finished goods inventory for absorption costing purposes was valued at the previous year's planned unit manufacturing cost, which was same as the current year's planned unit manufacturing cost. There are no work in progress inventories at either the beginning or the end of the year. The planned and actual unit selling price for the current year was 70 per unit. So from this data, we need to compute the total variable costing expensed under the variable costing basis. So total variable cost equals variable manufacturing cost and variable non-manufacturing cost. Right. So what are this variable manufacturing cost? Direct material, direct labor, and variable manufacturing overhead comprises of the variable manufacturing cost. And there is variable non-manufacturing cost like variable selling expenses, variable administrative expenses. And we know that this per unit variable cost will be constant in the particular range of activity, and there is no relevant range. And we are not given any information relating to the change or change in the relevant range. So we could assume that the total variable, the per unit variable cost will be constant. So we are provided with the per unit variable cost relating to direct material, direct labor, and variable manufacturing overhead. So what is the variable manufacturing cost? Equal to direct material 12 plus direct labor 9 plus variable manufacturing overhead 4, which is equal to 12 plus 4, 16. 16 plus 9 is going to be 25 into what is the sales? Sales level as 125,000. 25 into 125,000, which is equal to 625,000. Okay, 3,125,000. That is the variable manufacturing cost. And we need to add the variable non-manufacturing cost. Variable non-manufacturing cost, what are those? Variable selling expenses and variable administrative expenses. Total is 8 plus 2, which is going to be 10 into what is the sales level? It's 125,000. It is going to be 1,250,000. So the total variable manufacturing cost. So total is equal to 3,125,000 plus 1,250,000, which equals 4,375,000. So option D. So why did we take the actual incurred cost? So let's take the actual incurred cost itself. What is the variable selling expenses? 1 million, and variable administrative expenses 250,000, which is 1 million plus 250,000. It is 1,250,000. And what is the direct material actually incurred? 1,560,000 plus 1,170,000 plus 520,000. It is 3,250,000. Same. I just took this per unit figures for more clarification. We could take the actual incurred, or you could take this 1,560,000 plus 1,170. Sorry, 1,170,000 plus 520,000 plus 250,000 plus 1 million. So it is actually 4,375,000. This is the same figure as it. Okay. So let's move forward. So question number 42. The Blue Company has failed to reach its planned activity level during its first 2 years of operations. The following table shows the relationship among its units produced, sales and normal activity for these years and the projected relationship for year 3. All prices and costs have remained the same for the last 2 years and expected to do so in year 3. Income has been positive in both year 1 and year 2. And year 1, year 2, year 3 unit produced sales and planned activity data is provided to us. Because Blue Company uses an absorption costing system, one would predict gross margin for year 3 to be. Year 3 to be. What is the gross margin predicted to year 3 to be? The relationship among units sold. So can you give me an answer? It is greater than year 1, equal to year 2, greater than year 2, equal to year production, equal to sales. Production equal to sales, yes. Yes, production is equal to sales. We not ask because relating to the income under absorption costing and income under variable costing, but we need to predict what would be the gross margin for year 3 based on this data provided. This step, all prices and costs have remained the same for the last 2 years and are expected to do so in year 3. So this cost and price and all cost in year 1 and year 2 are the same. So likewise in year 3 it would be same. So what would be the gross margin for year 3? Because price and cost data are the same. Is it greater than year 1, equal to year 2, greater than year 2, or equal to year 1? It's a very simple question. You should just find looking at the production and sales activity for these 3 years. So, is there an answer? It's equal, right? Yeah. It's equal, but you have to find whether it is equal to year 1, equal to year 2, greater than year 1, or greater than year 2. The question is right. Yeah, the income reported and absorption costing and variable costing would be same. So we need to predict what would be the gross margin for year 3. The answer is it is equal to year 1 because the year 1 unit produced was 90,000, sales was 90,000, planned activity was 100,000, and year 3 unit produced was 90,000, sales was 90,000, planned activity was 100,000, and we know that all price and cost have remained same for the 2 years, so it will be expected to do so in year 3. So in year 1 and year 3, the price and cost would be the same, and the unit produced and sales figures are the same. Hence, the gross margin would be same for year 1. For the year 3 will be equal to year 1. So is it clear? Okay. So this is the same question of what we discussed earlier of value corporation. The question is different. The value of value corporation's actual ending finished goods inventory on the absorption costing basis. So the value of the ending finished goods inventory on the absorption costing basis was. So if absorption costing is used, the ending inventory value equals direct material, direct labor, variable manufacturing overhead, and fixed manufacturing overhead too. So it includes variable manufacturing cost as well as fixed manufacturing cost too. Okay. And let's check this data. And we know that our activity level sales was 125,000, production was 130,000. So the ending inventory value would be, we know that. So beginning, we have beginning inventory. We need to compute what is the ending inventory. Beginning inventory equals 35,000, and our production equals 130,000, and available for sale is 135,000 plus 120,000, which is going to be 165,000, and our sales is going to be 125,000. So what is the ending inventory value? Among 165,000 units that is available for sale, we sold 125,000. So the remaining 165,000 minus 125,000. Ending inventory is equal to 40,000, which is 165,000 minus 125,000. This is the ending inventory value. So got it. So we need to calculate the cost for this 40,000 units. And okay, there is an information provided in the question. We need to clearly look. The beginning finished goods inventory for absorption costing purposes was valued at the previous year's planned unit manufacturing cost, which was the same as the current year's planned unit manufacturing cost. So the manufacturing cost for the previous year as well as the current year are the same. So let's check what is the direct material, direct labor, and variable manufacturing overhead total. So ending inventory cost and ending inventory value equals direct material plus direct labor plus variable manufacturing plus, since this absorption costing is used, we need also include fixed manufacturing cost. So direct material, direct labor, and variable manufacturing, we know that they are variable cost. So per unit cost would be the same, 12 plus 9 plus 4, which is going to be 25. 12 plus 4, 16. 16 plus 9, 25. So 25 into 40,000, right? 25 into 40,000 is going to be 1 million. Plus we need to do the fixed manufacturing cost. We know that the fixed manufacturing overhead is 5, which is predetermined fixed manufacturing overhead into 40,000 is going to be 200,000. So the total ending inventory value is going to be 1 million plus 200,000, 1,200,000. Let's check the option. Yes, option A, 1,200,000. The question is for the computation of the ending inventory value. So what does ending inventory value consist of? It consists of direct material, direct labor, variable manufacturing cost, and fixed manufacturing cost, because absorption costing is used. And we need to compute what is the ending inventory. So ending inventory, we know that the beginning inventory, that is 35,000, and our production is 130,000. So the total units available for sale is 35,000 plus 130,000, 165,000, and we sold 125,000 from this. So the remaining is 40,000, which will remain as the ending inventory. And we need to compute the cost for this ending inventory. So ending inventory cost consists of fixed manufacturing cost as well as fixed manufacturing, variable manufacturing cost as well as fixed manufacturing cost. So variable manufacturing cost includes direct material, direct labor plus variable manufacturing. This per unit equals 12 plus 9 plus 4, it will be 25 into 40,000 is the inventory level. So total fixed manufacturing cost would be 1 million, and fixed manufacturing cost is 5. 5 into 40,000 of units is 200,000, it is 120,000. Or you could just find 25 plus 5, 30. 30 into 40,000. That's 1,200,000. I just show the division of this cost. So we could just total manufacturing unit cost into the total ending inventory, which is total ending inventory value. So you're clear with the explanation? Okay. Okay, we can move forward to the next question. Question number 40. Which of the following costs are generally included in a calculation of operating income when using absorption costing? So, what are all the costs that is included in the calculation of operating income when absorption costing is used? Option A, fixed direct material manufacturing cost. Option B, variable direct manufacturing cost. Option B, variable manufacturing overhead cost. Option 4, fixed manufacturing overhead cost. What all costs are included in the calculation of operating income when absorption costing is used? Can you give me the answer? Yes, option 1. Option 1, okay, option A, 1, 2, 3, and 4 is all these costs are included in the computation of operating income under absorption costing. Fixed direct manufacturing cost, which is fixed manufacturing cost, variable direct manufacturing cost, variable manufacturing overhead cost, fixed manufacturing overhead cost, all these costs are included in the computation of operating income under absorption costing or variable costing. So let's move forward to the next question, question number 39. Product sales. So what is the question? Operating income under variable costing is. You need to compute the operating income under variable costing. We have provided product sales, variable manufacturing cost, fixed manufacturing overhead, variable selling and administrative cost, fixed selling and administrative cost. Now beginning inventory, unit produced, planned and actual data provided to us. We need to compute the operating income under variable costing. So operating income under variable costing is computed as sales less variable cost. We get contribution margin. From that contribution margin, we need to subtract fixed cost. So we get operating income. So what is the sales figure? Product sale is 1000 into 10. So which is going to be 10,000. And what are the variable cost? Variable manufacturing cost 5.5 per unit, and variable selling and administrative cost 0.5 per unit, and no other variable cost details are provided to us. So the total variable cost equals 5.5 plus 0.5, 6 into what is the unit sales 1000, which is going to be 6,000. So what is the contribution margin? 10,000 minus 6,000, 4,000. And fixed cost. What are the fixed cost? Fixed manufacturing overhead. It is variable costing. So we do not apportion between the ending in. We need to. We can take this fixed manufacturing overhead as a part of period cost, not product cost. So fixed manufacturing overhead total is provided to us 1,200. It will be expense as they are incurred in the variable costing income statement as period cost. And fixed selling and administrative cost total is provided to us 1,000. So the total fixed cost is 1,200 plus 1,000, which is 2,200. So the operating income is 4,000 minus 2,200 is 1,800. So the operating income under variable costing is 1,800. Option B. Is it clear? Okay. So we have same question. The value of Variant Corporation's actual ending finished goods inventory on the variable costing basis was. So this same question, I think there is no necessity for reading this question because I have already discussed this question 2-3 times before. So let's get into the figures and answers first. First, we need to compute the ending inventory value. So ending inventory value that we already computed, which is 40,000. So let me show you the computation once more. So this is the ending inventory value computation. So this is the computation for the ending inventory. This is 40,000. So what is the Variant Corporation actual ending finished goods inventory value on the absorption costing basis? Sorry, on variable costing basis. So in variable costing is used. So this ending inventory value only consists of this fixed manufacturing, variable manufacturing cost. So what are the variable manufacturing costs? Which include direct material, direct labor, and variable manufacturing overhead, which is 12 plus 9 plus 5. So 12 plus 9 plus 4, which is equal to 25 alone. This 25 into 40,000 equal to 1 million is going to be the ending finished goods value. We will not add fixed manufacturing overhead as a part of the product cost if variable costing is used. So this ending inventory value is going to be 1 million. So option B gives the answer. Are you clear? The second para says something about manufacturing overhead. So let's read the second paragraph. The beginning finished goods inventory. Is that paragraph? Are you talking about that paragraph? Yes, previous. The plan per unit cost figures shown in the above schedule were based on Variant production and selling 140,000. So we are given with the per unit figures. This per unit figures is based on the production and selling, which is planned activities level of 140,000 units. So Variant uses a predetermined manufacturing overhead rate for applying manufacturing overhead to its product. There's a combined manufacturing overhead rate of 9. What is this combined manufacturing overhead? It consists of both variable and fixed manufacturing overhead. 4 plus 5, 9 per unit was employed for absorption costing purposes. Any over or under applied manufacturing overhead is closed to the cost of goods sold account at the end of the reporting period. So we know that any under or applied is close to the cost of goods sold because they treat this variance to be immaterial. if this material, and it would be prorated among the cost of goods or finished goods inventory and work in process. So if any such information like that is provided, some portion of this under applied manufacturing overhead would be part of the finished goods inventory. So it is clearly specified in this question. This under applied or over applied manufacturing overhead is close to the cost of goods, so we need not to bother regarding the application of this under applied or over applied manufacturing overhead to finished goods inventory. We could just take this variable manufacturing cost into this ending finished goods units. So we will get the ending finished goods inventory value on the variable costing basis. Is it clear? Okay. So we have discussed this question previously. Okay. Under absorption costing, the inventory cost includes. So under absorption costing, this product cost equals total cost equal to direct material plus direct labor plus variable manufacturing overhead plus fixed manufacturing overhead. Right. So direct material and direct labor prime cost is provided to us 800,000. Variable manufacturing overhead 100,000. Fixed manufacturing overhead 160,000. Just add all these figures. 800,000 plus 100,000, 900,000 plus 160,000, 1 million is going to be 1,060,000, which is option A. Is it clear? Very simple, yes. Okay. Yes. Question number 36. When comparing absorption costing with variable costing, the difference in operating income can be explained by the difference between. We have discussed questions, practical question relating to this field. The theory is asked, when comparing absorption costing with variable costing, the difference in operating income can be explained by the difference between the option A, ending inventory in units and beginning inventory in units, multiplied by the budgeted fixed manufacturing cost per unit. The unit sold and the unit produced multiplied by the budgeted variable manufacturing cost per unit. Option C, unit sold and the unit produced multiplied by the unit sale price. Option D, ending inventory in units and the beginning inventory in units multiplied by the unit sale price. So what is the difference in the operating income caused by? Can you give me the answer? Is the difference between the operating income? Is it from the options A, B, and C, which is the right answer? Option A, right. Ending inventory units and beginning inventory units, that represents the change in inventory into multiplied by the budgeted fixed manufacturing cost, means fixed manufacturing overhead, which we get the difference in the operating income under variable costing and absorption costing. Right. So question number 35. Which method of inventory costing treats direct manufacturing cost and manufacturing overhead cost, both variable and fixed, as inventoriable cost? Option A, variable costing. Option B, direct costing. Option C, conversion costing. Option D, absorption costing. Both direct manufacturing cost and manufacturing overhead cost is treated as both variable and fixed. They are treated as inventoriable cost or product cost with which inventory costing system? Option B, direct costing. What is direct costing? Direct costing is also called variable costing. So in variable costing, this no fixed manufacturing cost is treated as product cost or inventoriable cost. Okay. So what would be the answer? Option D, as absorption costing. So variable costing and direct costing is the same. So in variable costing and direct costing, only variable manufacturing costs are treated as inventoriable cost. Conversion costing means we only treat direct labor cost and manufacturing overhead. So we do not treat any such, we do not treat direct material cost to be part of conversion costing. In absorption costing, both fixed and variable direct manufacturing cost and manufacturing overhead cost are treated as product cost. So the answer is option D, absorption costing or full costing. The next question, 34. Question number 34. The management of a company computes net income using both the absorption and variable costing approaches to product costing. This year, the net income under the variable costing approach was greater than the net income under the absorption costing approach. This difference is most likely the result of the management of a company computes net income using both absorption costing and variable costing approaches. This year, the net income under the variable costing approach was greater than the net income under the absorption costing. So, what is the main factor which caused the variable net income reported under variable costing to be greater than net income reported under absorption costing? Option A, a decrease in the variable marketing expenses. Option B, an increase in the finished goods inventory. Option C, inflationary effects on overhead cost. Option D, sales volume exceeding production volume. What is the answer? Option D, yes. Sales volume exceeding production volume. We know that when sales exceed production, the operating income or the income reported under variable costing would be higher than the operating income or income reported under absorption costing. If a decrease in the variable marketing expenses, so both these decrease will be affected in both absorption costing and variable costing. There is no difference in treatment of this variable marketing expenses. An increase in the finished goods inventory. If finished goods inventory is increased, our production would have been higher. So that means under absorption costing, the income would have been higher. Inflationary effects on overhead cost would be affected in both variable costing and in absorption costing incomes. There is no such differences. Sales volume exceeding production volume is the right answer, because if sales exceeds production, variable costing, income would be higher. So option D is the right answer. Go to the next question, question number 33. In which one of the following situation will ending inventory on the balance sheet computed under absorption costing be exactly equal to the ending inventory computed under variable costing? So, in which situation the ending inventory value under variable costing and absorption costing would be equal? Option A, when there is no variable overhead cost. Option B, when the denominator variance is 0. Option C, when there is no fixed factory overhead cost. Option D, when the number of units produced equals the number of units sold. In which situation would be this ending inventory value under both variable costing and absorption costing would be the same? Option D. Can you give me the answer? Option D. When the number of units produced equals the number of units sold. So just read. The ending inventory on the balance sheet computed under absorption costing be exactly equal to the ending inventory computed under variable costing. When production equal to sales, the operating income would be the same. It is not necessary the ending inventory value be the same. When does this ending inventory value will be the same? It's not. Option D is the wrong answer. When the number of units produced equals number of units sold, no, ending inventory value would not be equal. So what would be the right answer? Option D, the denominator variance is 0. So there is no treatment of the variance in this income statement. If it is particularly mentioned like underapplied or overapplied variance is added to the cost of goods sold, like situation only. So because if it is only will be applicable to the cost of goods sold. If it is specifically provided that this variable variance will be factored in the ending inventory, only we need to look at this. In such case, this will be the equal in both variable costing and absorption costing. No such difference is there in the treatment of the underapplied or overapplied variance to the ending inventory in both variable and absorption costing. Options, yes, when there is no fixed factory overhead cost. And there is no fixed factory overhead, that in variable costing, this fixed factory overhead is not a product cost. If there is no fixed factory overhead, this cost will not be included in the computation of ending inventory in the absorption costing basis because there is no such fixed factory overhead. In such case, the ending inventory in both absorption costing and variable costing will only include the variable manufacturing cost like direct material, direct labor, and variable manufacturing overhead. In such a situation, the ending inventory on the balance sheet, which is reported under absorption costing and variable costing, would be the same. Option C is the right answer. So, are you clear? Okay. So, this question number 32. Osawa Incorporated planned and actually manufactured 200,000 units of a single product in its first year of operations. Variable manufacturing cost was 30 per unit of the product. Planned and actual fixed manufacturing cost was 600,000 and selling and administrative cost total 400,000. Osawa sold 120,000 units of product at a selling price of 40 per unit. Osawa's operating income using absorption or absorption costing is. So we need to compute the operating income under absorption costing. So what would be the operating income under absorption costing? Sales less cost of goods sold. We get gross margin. From that we need to subtract other non-manufacturing costs. We get operating income, right? What is the sales value? Sales value is provided to us. We manufacture 200,000 units and product selling price of 40. Okay. 32A. How come? Let's compute and see. Sales is 200,000. Let's just 200,000 is the sales value into what is the cost, which is 40. 200,000 into 40 becomes 800,000. And cost of goods sold equal both fixed and variable manufacturing over cost. So variable manufacturing cost is 30 per unit. So 30 into 200,000 we get 600,000 plus actual fixed manufacturing overhead was 600,000. So 600,000 plus 600,000. 200,000 is 40 is going to be 8 million. So 8 million minus, we have to take 120,000. What is 120,000? 120,000, okay. So, okay, sorry, the manufacturer was 200,000, sorry, it was a mistake on my part. So, sold was 120,000, 120,000 into 40, it is 120,000 into 40, it is 4,800,000. And cost of goods sold equals 120,000 into 30, 3,600,000 plus this fixed manufacturing overhead was 600,000. So this is for the 200,000. So 600,000 divided by 200,000, we get 3 to be the per unit manufacturing cost into 120,000. So 3 into 120,000 equals 360,000. So 3,600,000 plus 360,000 total would be 3,600,000 plus 360,000 total would be 3,960,000. So minus 4,800,000 we get 840,000 to be the gross margin. 840,000 to be the gross margin. What does the non-manufacturing cost includes? selling and administrative cost to be 400,000. So we need to subtract this 400,000. So operating income would be 440,000. Right. So option C, 440,000 is the answer. So are you clear? Sorry. Are you clear with the computation? So we know that okay, I took the 60,000 as fixed manufacturing cost. We know that the manufacturing cost, this is for the entire 200,000 of production. From this 200,000 production, we only sold 120,000. So we only need to allocate this fixed manufacturing overhead for this 125,000 as part of the cost of goods sold. So 600,000. So 600,000 is our total fixed manufacturing overhead. So divide by 200,000, we get the predetermined overhead allocated to be 3 per unit. So from the 200,000, we only sold 120,000. So this 120,000 into 3, 360,000 is going to be the fixed manufacturing overhead that we need to charge to the income statement, or we need to expense in the income statement for this particular period. Those fixed manufacturing overhead applicable to the number of units sold. So the remaining 200 minus 120,000 units, 80,000 into 3 will remain as ending finished goods inventory value in the balance sheet. So that's why we only took 360,000, not the entire 600,000. Okay. So we have almost completed. Okay. We have one more question to be completed. Question number 31. Chasen Company, a cracker and cookie manufacturer, has the following unit cost for the month of June. Variable manufacturing, variable marketing, fixed manufacturing, fixed marketing costs are provided to us. A total of 10,000 units were manufactured during June, of which 10,000 remain in ending inventory. Chasen uses the first in first out inventory method, and the 10,000 units are the only finished goods inventory at the month end. Using the full absorption costing method, Chasen's finished goods inventory value would be. So first in first out inventory means that we will sell those units which remain in the beginning inventory, then only we go to the next question. First, we will sell the beginning finished goods inventory, then only we go for the selling of the current year's production. So the 10,000 units, we are not provided with the details regarding the presence of beginning finished goods inventory. So out of this 10,000, 100,000 manufactured, 10,000 remaining ending inventory, we only sold 90,000 units. So this 10,000 finished goods inventory is those units which is manufactured during this particular period, during the current period. So let's compute the finished goods inventory value, and we have provided that they uses the absorption costing method. If absorption costing method is used, this finished goods inventory value includes finished goods inventory value equal to direct material plus direct labor plus variable manufacturing overhead plus fixed manufacturing overhead. So we need to compute this value. So direct material plus direct labor plus variable manufacturing overhead. So total variable manufacturing cost is provided to us. This is 5. So 5 into what is the number of units remain the finished goods inventory? 10,000, which equals 50,000. Along with that, we need to add the fixed manufacturing overhead. Fixed manufacturing cost is 2 per unit cost. 2 into 10,000, which is equals 20,000. So the total is 50,000 plus 20,000, that equals 70,000. So option C is going to be the answer. Or we could just 5 by 5 plus 2 equal to 7 into 10,000, 70,000. Or you could just divide between the fixed cost and variable cost. Is it clear? So the last question for today. Remaining questions we have done in the previous classes. Cylon company uses direct or variable costing, direct costing or variable costing for internal reporting and absorption costing for the external financial statements. A review of the firm's internal and external disclosures will likely find option A higher inventory unit cost reported to management than to the shareholders. Option B, internal income figures that vary closely with sales and external income figures that are influenced by both units sold and productive output. Option C, a contribution margin rather than gross margin in the reports released to shareholders. Option D, a difference in the treatment of fixed selling and administrative cost. So internal reporting, so this internal reporting statements is used for the management, is used for the managers for decision making, and the absorption costing external financial statement will be provided to the shareholders. So what is, when we review the internal and external disclosures, what will be the likely difference that we could find? A high option A. Or can you give me an answer? Option D, a difference in treatment of fixed and administrative cost. So what is the main difference in variable and absorption costing? Is in the difference in the treatment of the fixed manufacturing overhead. Fixed selling and administrative cost is not a manufacturing overhead, it is a non-manufacturing overhead. So can we find a difference in the treatment of fixed and selling administrative cost? The option D is the wrong answer. So go for the option A, B, and C. Let's review option C. A contribution margin rather than gross margin in the reports related to shareholders. What is the report related released to shareholders? Is it based on variable costing or absorption costing? Because for external reporting, we will be using absorption costing. So the reports related to shareholders will be the report prepared based on absorption costing. So in absorption costing, we could find gross margin, not contribution margin. So contribution margin will be found in the variable costing statement, which is prepared for the managerial decision making. So option C is no wrong answer. We could find gross margin to the reports released to shareholders, not contribution margin. So we could eliminate option C. And option B, what is option B? Internal income figures that vary closely with sales and external income figures that are influenced by both units and productive unit. So internal income figures means income reported under variable costing that vary closely with sales. You know that the only thing that impact the operating income in variable costing is sales, and external income figures that reported under absorption costing, they are influenced by the change in inventory level as well as the sales. What is change in inventory level? Production and sales, both figures is going to impact the operating income under absorption costing. Option B. Option B is the right answer. And let's check option A. A higher inventory unit cost reported to management than to shareholders. What is the report prepared to the management? It is the variable costing. In variable costing, the inventory cost only include variable manufacturing cost. But in absorption costing, it also includes the fixed manufacturing overhead. So the unit figure, higher inventory unit cost will be reported to shareholders, not to the management, because to shareholders we prepare for income statement based on absorption costing, but for management we prepare income statement based on absorption costing. So option B is the right answer, because under variable costing, this income figures will be closely affected by sales, but in absorption costing, the income figures is influenced by the both units sold and productive output. That means production and sales both are going to affect the income reported under absorption costing. So is it clear? Okay, that's all for the questions for today's session. So we have done with questions from the absorption costing and variable costing. This is a prime important area in the examination purview. You need to be very thorough with the variable costing and absorption costing systems. So we almost discussed different pattern questions from this field. So, nextly we are going to deal with joint products and byproduct cost. That is a new topic that we are going to deal with tomorrow. So that's all the questions from this variable costing. We almost dealt with almost all the problems from the home software. I hope you will be having Wiley questions with you. So this go practice this Wiley question. So both Hawk and Wiley practice you will be thorough with this every concepts regarding variable costing and absorption costing. Is there any doubt regarding these questions that we discussed today or in the previous session relating to this absorption and variable costing? Is there any clarity that you need in certain concepts? So are you clear with what all we have learned today? Okay, for inventoriable cost under variable costing. Okay, inventoriable cost under variable costing, inventoriable cost or product cost under variable costing only includes variable manufacturing costs. So what are the variable manufacturing costs? Direct material cost, direct labor cost, and variable manufacturing overhead. Only in absorption costing we include fixed manufacturing overhead along with this variable manufacturing cost. We need not take fixed manufacturing cost in computing the inventoriable cost under variable costing. Is it clear? Okay. Is there any other doubts? Okay. No, we'll let you know after revising. Okay. Please let me know after revising the questions. So that's all for today's session. So let's conclude today's session. So thank you. Thank you for your cooperation and good night.